What's up, guys? Welcome to the Viva La Grid podcast, episode 3, Australian Grand Prix race review. I'm your co-host, Austin Diggins.
And I'm Sasha Savella.
And we finally made it through a race weekend.
We did, and oh my gosh, I think there was quite a lot, and we're going to talk about it completely on this podcast, but we finally saw what these new regulations are all about and all the drama that it literally caused.
Yeah, we got to see the new regulations firsthand now. We saw some goods, we saw some negative aspects of it for sure. We saw drama during the practice sessions, we saw drama during qualifying.
During the race, and of course after as well. So we're going to talk all about it. But before we jump on this whole race situation, I need to take a moment because today is International Women's Day.
Yeah.
And what would men be without women?
I'm nothing without my better half, clearly.
Of course.
I definitely outkicked my coverage, so definitely need to give a shout out to all the women out there and all the great women in our lives.
So in celebration of International Women's Day, I want to highlight 3 incredible women that are changing the sport of Formula One. Let's start with Susie Wolff. We all know her. She's a powerhouse. Some people, especially maybe some guys, just know her as Toto Wolff's wife.
She definitely wears the pants in the family.
But she is currently the F1 Academy director, and she's literally bringing a whole revolution to the sport of Formula One. And if you don't know what F1 Academy is, it's basically Formula One but with all women. They're all women drivers. Susie is doing an amazing job to literally bring this sport to more eyes around the world with basically their own Netflix show similar to Drive to Survive. We binge watched it about probably last year, correct?
Yeah, we binge watched it last year. We got to see how young women are forming their path into motorsport and just how talented they are. It's incredible. I couldn't see myself doing that at all.
Yeah,
and
it's also, it's very competitive as well.
And I think they have a 2-year window, right?
Yes, they do.
And what better person to learn from than a woman who was a development driver for Williams?
Absolutely. And actually, Susie is literally the first woman that has ever been on Formula One.
Yeah, I think she raced in a practice session in the British Grand Prix in 2014.
Yes, she did.
It's incredible.
Of course, and she is a big supporter of women in motorsports. And I cannot wait to see what she does with F1 Academy and to really help young women to become and be part of this amazing sport.
Yeah.
So the next woman I want to talk about is Hannah Schmitz, and she is at Red Bull and is the incredible strategy head.
Yeah, she's been one of the main reasons why Red Bull has been as dominant as they have been. They've taken a lot of bold strategies over the year and really had an abstract approach at some of their strategy decisions. And maybe it is bringing in more women to give a different perspective.
That's the whole point. We know that Formula One has been a sport that has literally transcended generations. It hasn't been that long since women have been working in Formula One. And I think Hannah has really bring that perspective that whenever you bring different minds, it can really work in the best way possible.
Yeah, that other perspective really has been a cutting edge tool that Red Bull has in their arsenal that has allowed them to really dominate.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen incredible championships with her under her belt. We definitely need more women in motorsports, and Hannah really shows that she's a full package, and I think it really inspires other women to be part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And the last woman I want to talk about is Laura Mueller, and she is the Haas race engineer, and she's honestly the only full-time race engineer in Formula One.
Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable accomplishment. I think this is just the first of many that we're going to see in the future, so she is paving the way.
Absolutely. That is an incredible job. It's not an easy position to be at. You really have to be very cool-headed and everything. Keep your calm.
A lot of times these race engineers are seen playing the therapy role because these drivers can be hot-tempered. They're going through all the emotions in the car, and just look at what Just look at how Max is and his relationship is with GP. It's not easy.
Yeah. So she is currently leading Esteban Ocon, and we cannot wait to see more female in this type of roles in Formula One. And with that, it goes without mentioning that actually this past weekend at the Australian Grand Prix, for the very first time, if you didn't know, it's common to name corners of these tracks after people, very influential people in Formula One. And for the very first time, a corner has been named after females. So this corner at the track, I believe it's corner 6 or
Turn 6, yeah.
Turn 6, was named after Hannah and Laura. And it is supposed to be part of their initiative as In Her Corner, which supports to help and support women in motorsports.
Yeah. So once again, happy International Women's Day to everyone. We are nothing without you, and really we should honor your accomplishments much more.
Absolutely. So with that, let's start talking about this race.
Yeah, let's dive into the Australian Grand Prix weekend. Qualifying on Saturday was a crazy turn of events.
Not to say shit show, but it was.
It was a bit of a shit show, if we can say that.
It's a podcast, we can say that.
Yeah, it was insane. The way that it started, obviously, with the headliner of Max Verstappen crashing out in Q1
Yeah.
on his first hot lap, really was the no manches moment of
It really was.
the day.
Yeah, it really was. It was just like out of the blue. And I say that because we're not used to seeing him crash.
Yeah.
And with his whole commentary before qualifying and all of this, we already know that he doesn't like the car. So having that happen to him, it's just adding up to not be the happiest Max that we've seen.
Yeah, Max isn't a happy camper right now.
No.
I think the rear axle had locked up, which caused the accident, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for Kimi Antonelli, who had crashed in FP3. So in the span of roughly 3 hours, the Mercedes were able to get Antonelli's car back up and going, not even have to worry about the setup, and then allow him to qualify and, from what we saw, put it into P2.
Yeah, I think with the Mercedes team, we can absolutely see that is a completely powerhouse of a team, specifically for this season. Not only they were able to build a whole car in literally 3 hours, because even if you go back and rewatch that whole crash, that car was in pieces.
Yeah, something about these, I don't know if the impact is greater or just the way that the cars are made and then being smaller, but all the crashes that we saw this week, the cars looked terrible.
Yeah, and I don't know if with that in mind, and the fact that we have seen so many crashes specifically at the very beginning of the whole season, how crazy is that? That is a safety hazard.
That's, I think, being touched on by the drivers, and clearly there's a adapting period here with these new cars that's going to take some time.
I get it, but aren't they supposed to be like safe, like better safety? That was the whole point of these whole like new models.
The fact that the drivers are able to get out of the cars and seem relatively fine shows how safe they are, but
just like the middle
impact,
part.
yeah, the impact of the car, it looks like the impact is greater. But it turned out to be a blessing for Antonelli. It further solidified just how much of a rocket ship the Mercedes is.
Absolutely.
That they don't even have to worry really about the setup, and they're going to be fast. And of course, George Russell putting it on pole in qualifying.
I know you love that.
Yeah, I've mentioned before I'm not the biggest George Russell fan. There's just something about him that kind of drives me a
Woody
little
look?
insane. I don't know. It might be the Woody look. It might be. He's just got some kind of smug. He's got a smugness about him that just.
It just doesn't sit right with you.
There's just something. We'll touch on more of that later. But once again, the big takeaway: Mercedes was a rocket ship from qualifying. The other Red Bull, though, and Isaac Hadjar turned out to put a really good performance in, and at a time when the Red Bull car in the past hasn't been that easy to drive. And often we've seen over the last few years drivers struggle.
Especially with the second seed.
Especially the second seat. Hadjar put in a really good performance and qualified in P3, which was impressive.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later on, but specifically with the time that he had at the race, I think he really showed that the Red Bull has the pace.
Yeah, he showed that the Red Bull is going to be a good car this year.
It can be competitive for sure.
Yeah. As far as the Ferraris go, qualifying wasn't as strong as I had anticipated, especially after testing and the way that the first two practice sessions looked. But as we'll get to here in a little bit, not all was lost with Ferrari.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest takeaway, aside from the Mercedes being such a rocket ship, was that these new regulations are going to be a problem. When you look at the fact that Formula One is supposed to be a sport that embraces everything being on the limit, going flat out.
It's all about racing and going fast.
It's all about the speed. It's all about drivers being able to exhibit their racecraft, taking every turn with reckless abandonment, putting it all on the line, putting your nuts on the line. What the qualifying session showed is that it's not necessarily the case. The drivers are decelerating down the straights, downshifting, losing 40 to 50 kilometers an hour just so their batteries can harvest their battery and get ready for different areas of the track. This isn't Formula One how we've known it.
This is no Mario Kart.
This isn't Mario Kart, yeah. And I know several drivers allude to that in the race, especially with using the overtake. But it was just so evident in qualifying, and the fact that obviously you expected the cars to be a little slower with the new regulations, but the fact that we were 3 seconds off the pace just from last year's car. Granted, that was at the end of the prior regulations, so you were expected to be faster, but
it's just a shit show.
It's a shit show right now. Ultimately, that's your
take.
That's my take, and I'm sticking to it. But the way that qualifying ended up, George Russell and Kimi Antonelli were P1 and P2 for Mercedes.
Yeah.
You had Isaac Hadjar in P3, Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris in P6, then followed by Hamilton, Lawson, Lindblad in P9, which was a great result.
Yeah.
And then rounding out the top 10, Gabriel Bortoleto. Max was starting P20, starting from the back, as we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
He had a nice recovery drive, but I think the last takeaway from qualifying was that the young guns really stepped up.
They really are here. They bring in the talent, and they're not giving up. And to all these older seasoned drivers, they're really showing up.
Yeah, Antonelli, of course, impressive. His car is impressive.
Yeah.
Hadjar, P3. When's the last time that the second Red Bull qualified in P3?
Competitive.
It was Checo. I'm
Yes.
sure it was Checo, and that's been a few years now.
Now that we're talking about this, if you listened our previous podcast episodes for this season, we talked about this specifically with the rookies, and we talk about would these new regulations be easier for the rookies, or is it going to be difficult for the seasoned drivers? Like, what was it going to be? And it seems like it's all about the rookies.
That's a great point.
They're very adaptive.
Yeah, the rookies have been able to adapt much quicker. And, of course, Lindblad doing as well as he did, he really has shown no fear and no anxiousness or nervousness. He's definitely arrived.
He's only 18.
Yeah, he's only 18.
How insane is that?
Yeah, it's crazy. Usually the drivers who end up in Formula One at such an early age like that, sometimes it can be hit or miss, but usually if they're being promoted that early, they're the real deal. And Lindblad looks like he's going to be the real deal.
Didn't we have a Max Verstappen back in the day?
We did. Yes, we did. Yeah. So after qualifying, we were left with thinking that the Mercedes, the rocket ship that it is, we're just going to go off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And as we'll talk about here shortly, wasn't necessarily the case.
Correct.
But before we get into the race, leading up to the race beginning, we had another no manches moment. And this one hurt.
This one did.
We were sitting on the couch
We're
getting
like getting ready just to watch the race. We're like, okay, let's get this. It's literally lights out in like 2 seconds. And all I could hear was like, what?
yeah.
Austin grabs his
What?
phone and he's like, Oscar just crashed.
Yeah, no.
And we're
it
like,
was
crash? What do you mean? The race hasn't even started. And he's like, yes, he just crashed.
I thought I was just on Twitter looking at another fake post.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we saw it come through on the TV, and it just makes you sick, of course, being that Piastri's home race.
Yeah. And they even made little, like, actual custom hats for them for this specific race. And it happened literally as soon as they were doing their, like, driver's parade that they usually do before the race. So they finished that. And as soon as he was ready to go into the grid, that's exactly when it happened.
Yeah, it was a terrible turn of events. So, he's sick. McLaren's sick, especially after the season that they had had.
Yeah.
And Piastri coming off of a difficult ending to last season. He wanted to start the season on a high note.
Yeah.
So not even being able to race at all definitely hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things we also found out is that Nico Hulkenberg was not able to leave the pit lane, and so he wouldn't race as well. And now we're ready to talk about what we saw in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, so already with 2 drivers down, the start of the race was actually quite exciting.
The start of the race for me was the most exciting part.
Of the whole race.
Maybe not the most exciting part, but I think if you looked at my heart rate, it was probably through the roof at this moment.
Yeah, personally, I was a little scared.
Yeah.
I was already expecting many crashes, especially with what we saw during practice and qualifying and starting the race with Oscar crashing. We're like, oh my gosh, something is about to happen once everybody decides to go.
Yeah, what we realized is that they don't really have the race starts figured out yet.
Yeah.
A handful of drivers and teams have a little bit better idea of how to navigate the car and navigate the battery components of it to really accelerate when the lights go out. But the rest of them don't have it figured out yet, and I think we're going to see that be an issue at least for the first few races.
Yeah.
So let me just paint the picture for you.
All right.
The lights go out. Some cars get off to better starts than others, but you see Charles Leclerc. I think it was the marriage boost that just propelled
The
him.
marriage boost. We're just going to call it the marriage boost
You
for
saw-
the whole season.
You saw Leclerc and his marriage boost go out and take control and lead heading into turn 1. So from P4 all the way to P1, right off
It
the
just
turn.
made it to the front.
It was incredible. I thought I was dreaming there for a little while, but in the back of my mind, I knew it was going to be short-lived.
Yeah.
So Leclerc gets a great start. Hamilton, Hadjar, and Lindblad also get great starts.
Yeah.
And they eat up Antonelli, who Antonelli and Russell both were struggling with their battery. Both of them said they had no battery as they started the race. And that allowed Leclerc to surge into the front and ultimately stretch a lead a little bit before he and Russell started their little chess match.
A little battle.
Yeah, it
was
was a battle.
exciting.
The first few laps were really exciting. There were quite a few overtakes. I was shocked, actually. I was like, you know what? Maybe these new regulations are actually going to be pretty good. But then we saw the gamesmanship, the chess match between Russell and Leclerc.
I think at this point you were literally like bitching at Russell. You were like, you
Well-
little bitch.
Oh, I probably did say exactly that. But at one point, when there's the chess match with the battery deploy and the way that they're kind of taking turns, passing each other, and then Russell's complaining on the radio about, oh, it's a dangerous move by Leclerc there. I'm like, dude, really? Yeah, we're not even through 10 laps and you're already trying to do this. You're just upset that you're not in first place right off the start here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect the Ferraris and Leclerc to be able to hold Russell off as much as he was much as he was doing. And so there for the first 20 laps or so, I was thinking, you know what? We're going to win this freaking race. And ultimately when the realization came that we probably weren't going to win that race is when disaster struck and Isaac Hadjar ended up having the power unit problems and having to retire the car.
Yeah, yeah. But I think now that you're touching on Hadjar, I think this is where we really started noticing that regardless of him being second seat driver here,
Mhm.
the Red Bulls are competitive and they have the speed to be out there as
Yeah.
well. So just imagine we also got to see that with Matt,
Mhm.
especially starting in 20th place
Yeah.
all the way. He made his way all the way to, I believe he ended in what, P.
So Max finished in P6, but I
Yeah.
know by lap 9, so with Piastri crashing out, he started 19th and not 20th. But by lap 9, I think he had already, or by lap 11, he had already ended up being in P9.
Oh, wow.
So he had already cut down half the field right there.
Yeah.
And you could tell that the Red Bull was going to be really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, with Hadjar's unfortunate events, series of unfortunate events, it really forced Ferrari to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And by not making a decision, I think they pretty much sunk their fate. So the car may be fast, but the Ferrari strategy decision still,
It's still the same and it's still
it's still going to bite them in the ass. So with the virtual safety car being deployed for Isaac Hadjar, both Mercedes pit,
yeah.
which, as we know, ends up saving 10 seconds or so on a normal pit stop.
Yeah.
Well, Ferrari decides that they're going to leave both cars out. And I haven't been the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan,
Yeah.
but as I was watching this race, I caught myself being like, Lewis is making great points here. Lewis is right. Look
You know what? I actually like Lewis.
Yeah.
Right now.
all it took was George Russell having an incredible car for me to become the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan.
I think it was just the point that he was part of Mercedes. And you're not a Mercedes fan, even though you actually like Toto Wolff. So I don't understand
And
what
I'm
your
a
risk.
big Max fan, though. I'm a big
Yeah.
Verstappen
I
fan.
guess it's just that part. But now that he's in the Ferrari, and I mean, once again, I don't think the driver's supposed to be the one telling you like what to do.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah. Lewis is the one saying, "Hey, we should probably at least pit one of them. It's like,
Yeah.
don't keep us both out." Oh no, Lewis, we're sticking to Plan A. Okay.
all right.
Well, God decides to give us another virtual safety car when Valtteri Bottas
Yeah.
retires, and they still
Still-
don't pit.
Yeah.
They still don't pit. It's like, hey, you messed up here, but we're going to give you another chance to win the race. Well, they don't. And by then, their fate has been sealed.
Yeah.
Because,
Was it here when Lewis was like, "My tires are still fine. Do not pit me."
yeah, at least pit Leclerc from
Yeah.
the lead there. And maybe by saving those 10 seconds, you're potentially able to catch Antonelli at the end. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So,
Can you imagine if they actually didn't have the right tires for that?
yeah, thank God that all the BS on Twitter about them getting rid of all the tire
colors.
colors wasn't true, because we can't make strategy decisions. So just imagine if we don't know what tires we're putting on the car,
Yeah.
and that would be a problem. But George Russell ultimately took advantage. When Ferrari did pit, the Mercedes were able to get out into the lead. And from there, it wasn't really a question.
Yeah.
George Russell really didn't have any issues. Antonelli was actually gaining as the race went on. He put in a strong performance. And really by then, everything was kind of chalk. We were just wondering how much Verstappen could catch up,
Right.
because the Mercedes were P1, P2. The Ferraris then were settling in P3, P4. So really, the rest of the race was just about, is Max going to catch Lando? What's going on? You know, Ollie Behrman, all the young kids are kind of right there, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Yeah.
looking good.
Yeah.
And so that really just kind of became the race. And
I think even once we like the race started to settle down into its own pace, at this point we started seeing like a few DNFs, or even we were just trying to like guess if Checo was going to make it to the points
Yeah.
with all of this like people just dropping out of the race.
I think I even made the comment, well, with the level of attrition out here, maybe if Checo can just finish the race, he might be in the points, and then
Yeah.
your prediction might come true.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Cadillac wasn't as fast as
It wasn't
we
as
were
fast.
hoping.
Yeah, and one thing to notice that I want to bring into the conversation is we got to see the Cadillacs and we already knew they weren't going to be competitive just yet.
Hmm.
And so, of course, we got Valtteri Bottas out of the race and Checo was still out there trying to fight a little bit. And we got to see,
Maybe literally.
yes, we got to see a little battle there with his little rival,
Yeah, his best friend Liam
his best
Lawson.
friend. Yes. So the point again, I don't understand what that guy is doing. Once again, he's like a little kid compared to Checo Bottas. And once you Checo Bottas,
Is that their celebrity name?
that is the celebrity,
Their their
um,
their married couple
the
name.
married couple name. I'm talking about Checo.
That was good. But the back and forth, obviously, Lawson.
Just keeps being disrespectful, and he's
Yeah.
gonna learn eventually.
What did he end up saying? He said, "What did he say?" He said, "F this dude."
No, this freaking guy. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what he said, but let's just say you, Lawson, watch out.
Yeah, yeah. If Checo doesn't come for you, Sasha's going to.
Yes.
So,
Believe me, Mexicans will come for you.
so at least Checo is going to end up finishing this race,
Yeah.
which was good. But fast forward now to lap 42. Max decides to put on the hard tires, and at this point, Lando Norris has already been out for 7 laps on a
Yeah.
medium. You're thinking, okay, it's only a matter of time. Max is going to end up chasing down Lando.
Mm-hmm.
And as we got to lap 50, it still hadn't happened. He had been gaining ground, but he eventually settled in within a second and wasn't ever able to take advantage of it. And I think what these new regulations end up showing is that due to the power unit, due to the active aero and the battery, there's no slipstream effect. So Max wasn't able to really take advantage of any increased speed to pass Lando, and Lando was able to hold him off.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the second half of the race was pretty drama-free. There wasn't a whole lot that went on. We had all that excitement in the beginning.
Well, maybe, yeah, nothing really went on. But you know who actually went on?
Who?
The Aston Martin cars.
That's okay, good segue there. So the Aston Martin, at multiple points in the race, we thought they retired, only to see them still out there.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell was going on.
I had no idea to the point that we're like, oh, Alonso, you have to I don't know, pit or you have to stop or something. And we just see him in the pit and they're working in the car. At that point, we're like, oh, he's retiring. Okay, let's keep going with the race. So we're just thinking he's really just out of the race completely. And then later on, we're seeing his name back on how you call that?
On the little time.
The roster, time roster.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what? Does that actually say 12 laps?
Yeah. Yeah, 12
Yeah.
laps down.
I'm like, is he actually on the race?
I thought my prediction of both Aston Martins not finishing the race was going to come true.
Yeah.
Well, both of them finished the race. They were just 20 laps down.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a good, I guess, practice session for the Aston Martin.
It was not a race for them, but it was more actually a testing practice for them because even during practice and all of that, they didn't really have that much time on the track. So I think they really took some time to kind of see what's up with their cars during this specific race, which is completely weird. But yeah, I mean,
if you could say that not really finishing the race, but finishing the race turns out to be a positive to develop, I guess you could, if you're looking at it in any positive light, you could say that the Aston Martin kind of had a positive day.
Yeah, for sure.
Given how much crap we talked about the car, everyone talked about the car, Adrian Newey talked about the car. It turned out that maybe they are going to have something resolved going into China.
Yeah, hopefully, for sure.
So with that said, let's just go down how the race actually finished. You had George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, P1 and P2.
Okay. Can I just say, I noble?
Okay, why? Because you picked George Russell to win the race?
Yes.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, it was going to be George. And
you've been on Mercedes from the very beginning of the year, so.
I mean, it hasn't been that long, but yes.
Kudos to you. I think I was being blinded by my Ferrari colored glasses.
Yeah.
I just,
Hey, if I can change, you can too.
spoiler alert, I'm picking Ferrari to win in China. So we'll just leave it at that.
We hope it's the year of the horse, baby.
It's the
Fire
year of the
horse.
fire horse. But George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, P1, P2. Leclerc and Hamilton followed in P3 and P4. And had it been a few more laps, I think Hamilton would have caught Leclerc.
Yeah.
One of my other big takeaways from this race was that Lewis Hamilton is back.
Yes.
Lewis
he feels
Hamilton,
so comfortable in the car, and
he
you can
looked
tell.
confident. He was
Mhm.
fast. He was gaining on Leclerc. Like, I was very impressed with
Yeah, I
Hamilton.
mean, you can completely see a turn of events, especially from last year to this year.
Mhm.
He seems happy. He
Yeah.
seems like
More at ease.
Yeah, more at ease for sure. And I think it's gonna be a good year for him, and
Yeah.
especially in a Ferrari.
So Kim Kardashian, don't F this up.
We haven't
Please.
seen her yet, so
Not yet. So Lando Norris came in P5, able to hold off Verstappen. That was kind of a positive development, given that McLaren weren't as fast as probably they wanted to be, or than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
But being able to hold
again,
off
this
Verstappen.
is just the first race.
Yeah. Max Verstappen started P19, great recovery drive to finish in
Yeah.
P6. Oliver Behrman with Haas,
Yeah,
P7. Haas is going to be one of the better midfield teams, if not the
I am
best
so
midfield
excited
team.
about that.
He looked really good. I
Yeah.
really like him.
Yeah.
He has a good personality, and I think he's going to be a great driver.
Yeah,
So in P8, maybe one of the more shocking or surprising results, Arvid Lindblad, first
Mhm.
race, and he's in the points, and a great performance for Racing Bulls.
yeah, yeah.
He's bold. You can tell out there, like, he wanted to get his elbows out. He wanted to actually race, and I think he's going to be a good driver.
Yeah, no, for sure. And scoring his first points
Mm-hmm.
in his first race, that is
It
incredible.
was impressive. Gabriel Bortoleto, P9. So technically Audi's first race, and
Yeah.
he's in the points. I really like him, and I like the Audi team. I think they're going to be in contention to be probably the best of the rest
Yeah.
alongside Haas.
Yeah,
which is,
and it's actually quite impressive too, because once again, they're young and your seasoned driver is literally out of the race, so all the pressure falls on you, and I think he delivered.
yeah, Formula One, a young man's game minus Lewis Hamilton. But Pierre Gasly and Alpine finishing in P10. So Alpine actually getting a point despite the car. I don't know. It was fine. It was average, but good result for Alpine to get a point. And then down in the back, Esteban Ocon, Albon, Lawson, Calapinto, Carlos Sainz, P15.
That hurt.
Bad day for Williams all
Yeah.
around. We said Williams needed Ozempic. They're still overweight. But given how much time they supposedly spent on the car and their development in last year's season, not a lot to show for it right now.
No.
They've been a little underwhelming.
Yeah, hopefully they get better.
Yeah. So Checo Perez, P16, Stroll, 17, Alonso, 18, and then the rest obviously didn't
Yeah,
finish.
they
So
didn't finish.
Bottas, Hadjar, Piastri, and Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
That's how the race ended. But I guess big picture takeaways, obviously Mercedes right now is the best car.
Yeah.
They've got the best package. They're the fastest. They have untuned or maybe selectively not exposed all of their Mercedes power unit tricks, because the other customers of the Mercedes
They're
power
not
unit,
happy.
they haven't quite figured it out yet. The car
Mhm.
the engine doesn't look as great for them as it does for Mercedes.
Yeah.
But I guess that's when you are the manufacturer that makes a
Correct.
difference. But Ferrari, I think, is going to be competitive this season.
Yeah, I'm
and
excited for them.
I'm not counting them out. I think between Leclerc and Hamilton, once Ferrari puts it all together, maybe with the strategy, I think they're going to be really competitive. And I'm not counting them out to win the Constructors this year.
Okay.
I'm excited for that. The Red Bull looks good in what we saw. Obviously, 1 out of 4 power units didn't make it, but as a new developer, you're going to
Yeah.
expect that to happen throughout the year. So that were my main takeaways, but let's just do some team takeaways
Okay.
that we can touch on. So of course the Mercedes right now, I've already mentioned, is the
Yeah.
fastest.
They're
The car
best
looks
ones on the
good.
track.
They've got the best package. No real low points for them.
Mhm.
Ferrari, great looking package. The strategy is
Yeah, they need to really work on that strategy. They probably need to Well, if you listen, obviously, to this whole podcast of right now, we talk about one specific race engineer.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to bring in somebody else into their team.
Or maybe they just need to throw the bank at her and just make her an offer she can't
mean-
refuse, because I wonder what she would have chosen. I think
Ooh,
we know if Red Bull were in that position, they would have made a better choice.
yeah.
So it's my only issue with the Ferrari. But McLaren, solid. They obviously, the Piastri woes,
Yeah,
that hurts.
that was just
but
terrible.
That's just kind of one of those fluky things.
Yeah.
But McLaren didn't have a ton of pace. Lando will be happy that he held off Verstappen, but
Mm-hmm.
Verstappen also started in P19.
Yeah.
So he had a little bit of a buffer
I mean,
there.
again, I don't think they want to be fighting for the middle ground.
I think someone on this podcast predicted it, and it wasn't me, but you said that you could see.
I know Bull, babe. I know.
You know, Ball, you said that you could see them being the fourth best team.
Yeah, I see it
and-
in the 4th, 5th, and I said, what?
yeah, right now they look like it.
Yeah.
Red Bull, obviously, Verstappen's not going to be too happy he couldn't have passed Norris, but the only real issue probably is that the power unit for Hadjar,
Yeah.
Hadjar didn't cooperate, but he looked like he was going to be fast in the race.
Yeah, no, he was doing a good job.
And Red Bull looks like they're probably at least the third fastest team right
Yeah.
now. So Haas, good performance.
Yes.
Behrman was great.
Yeah.
Ocon was just outside the points, so
Yeah.
he's probably wanting to do a little better, but I think
But
the,
the car is good. It has a good pace.
the car has a good pace, Ferrari power unit,
Yeah.
and I think they're going to compete with the best of the rest.
Yeah.
And Racing Bulls,
Mm-hmm.
Lindblad was the huge surprise.
Yeah. We love that guy.
I think I said in a previous podcast that I wouldn't be surprised. It may have been the first podcast, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if he was just flat out better than Lawson from the jump.
He's just going to be better, babe. Just,
He's gonna be better, and I'm just not. Lawson is not impressed.
once again, I think you guys already can tell I am not a big fan of Lawson. So for all I care, that guy can potentially get fired again.
Yeah, well, this maybe is last year, depending on how it goes.
Mhm.
But for Audi, their first race, technically, Bortoleto in the points.
Yeah.
Obviously, a mixed bag with Hulkenberg not being able to race, but Haas and Audi both, I think, are going to be very competitive. I think Audi's going to
That's
be a good
exciting.
team this year.
Yeah,
I'm
exciting.
excited. I
Yeah.
like the driver lineup, and I think they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Alpine, he was in the points. Colapinto wasn't, but the
I
only
just wish them the best. We know that is a very hard team to be on, especially in the past few years. I don't know what is the environment within the team, and if you even watch just Drive to Survive this past season, it seems like a very harsh environment.
Yeah.
So I just hope that they're just doing the best they can. And
We mentioned this when we first started watching the race weekend, but Jack Doohan, the reserve driver for Haas, when he came out, just right off the bat, you saw he had a full flow of hair.
yes,
He looked like he had been on a beach in California,
yep,
and he looked stress-free, no weight on his shoulders. He looked calm. I didn't even recognize him.
exactly.
We didn't even know
We're
he
like,
was the same
wait
person.
a minute, is that? Oh my god!
Yeah, Jack Doohan. So Alpine literally made Jack Doohan go full Britney. You remember last year when he shaved his head,
Yeah.
he was a mess. The environment clearly was toxic
Yeah.
for him,
Yeah.
but he looks like he's got a new lease on life. And so that just kind of goes to show you what Flavio and Alpine are cooking over there.
Yeah.
And so just imagine if Christian Horner takes over,
oh my god.
what's going to happen. But Alpine, I think eventually Gasly needs to get out of there.
Well, that is what we're seeing. I don't think there's much going on. I don't know if it's the leadership situation, what's happening down there. We know Gasly is talented.
Yeah.
He has gone through different teams, but we know that he's talented. So we don't know it. But firsthand, especially this past weekend, we got to see again through the show and all these things. And we understand the show can like make it more dramatic and stuff,
Mhm.
but you can see it in the person, and that he was really happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So good for Jack Doohan.
Yes.
Now, Williams, Cadillac, Aston Martin,
I
they're
think-
probably on the opposite end of the spectrum where
Yeah.
Cadillac's got a little bit more room, I guess, where we shouldn't really criticize them.
Yeah, I don't think we can really like
They're a
be
new
very,
team,
yeah.
built their car for the first time.
I mean,
This was
come
to be
on.
expected.
Yeah, specifically if we're talking about building the car, I don't think the car is very durable. So we got
We-
to see that.
You saw a lot flying off the car.
Yeah.
Checo's mirror came
The
off
mirrors
at one
from
point.
Bottas and Checo, they're completely, out. And then during the race, Checo's car just kind of blew up
Yeah,
too.
there's
So,
some debris there.
so yeah, I think they're still working on everything, and that's perfectly fine because once again, this is literally the first year.
Right, it's the first year. It's a positive that Checo even finished the race.
Yeah, and I think even Checo came out and he was like, it was different.
Yeah, he said, "Damn, Formula One's changed a little bit
Yeah.
since the last time I
Yeah,
drove."
so, but once again, I think he got to race a little there with Lawson.
Yeah, Williams, of course, disappointing. Sainz and Albon,
Yeah.
at least they both finished the race, but they didn't really have a ton of pace, and it
Yeah.
seems like there are stronger midfield cars, specifically Haas and Audi. Williams aren't where they really want to be or should be, given they were the best of the rest last season.
Correct.
And then Aston Martin, like I said, you got to take positives where you can get them. And so the fact that they were able to get a little data.
Hey, I'm wearing green today, so if you're watching the podcast, I'm wearing green. Maybe I'm leading and sending some good energy their way.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do in Shanghai.
Yeah, the only way it can get worse in Shanghai is if they don't finish the race.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're slowly making progress.
Yeah.
Final takeaways, given that what we've seen of the teams. Mercedes is the benchmark, but
Yeah.
Ferrari's not as far off as we had anticipated. Red Bull's going to be good. It's just making sure the power unit's able to cooperate right now.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
And not have any mistakes.
yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we get to see this, at least these 3, maybe 4 teams to be very competitive and really give Russell, what is that, run for his money?
Yeah,
Because I
he
mean,
needs to. Russell wins one race and he's already doing this
It's
weird,
like-
this celebration. Yeah,
he's
there's
like,
just
I love this car. I love this power unit.
Yeah.
I love this new regulation.
maybe these cars in this regulation aren't as bad as we thought, huh, guys? Like he's just, I don't.
Austin is just fed up with him
I'm
already.
not. I shouldn't be going on a tangent here, but yeah, the big takeaways clearly Mercedes and Ferrari are the best 2 teams, followed by Red Bull and
Yeah.
McLaren. I think Audi and Haas are probably next up, and then it's Williams and some form of Aston Martin and Cadillac. But ultimately, I think the main takeaway though still is about the regulations.
Yeah.
The
Hopefully
drivers-
we get to finesse them a little bit better. Once again, we really want to see these cars be competitive and actually race. I know it's going to be a little bit different seeing that we need to the drivers now need to preserve all this energy and they have to figure out when to go slower and when to go faster. But overall, I think this is, what else can we say about this specific race? It really shows us maybe what we can expect moving on, but it can only get better from here.
I hope it gets better, but to me at least, drivers should be going flat out and everything should be on the edge. That's what Formula One is. We want to see the cars on their limits. We want to see the drivers exhibiting their racecraft.
Mhm.
And unfortunately that this race kind of showed that where the regulations are right now, it's not about who's the best driver, who's got the best power unit, and then they're able to it's all battery.
Who
It's
knows how to turn up the switch?
It's a battery chess game right
Yeah.
now. And unfortunately, we shouldn't be downshifting or decelerating down straights.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. That's not what Formula One is. So hopefully the FIA addresses it sooner rather than later. But I think that's probably going to be it for episode 3.
Yeah. So hopefully all these new regulations and everything that has changed in Formula One get a little bit more straightened and
Yeah.
bring back at least that really passion for racing and the motorsport.
Yeah. You don't want your drivers after the first race. It was overwhelming that a majority of them were
Dissatisfied.
very dissatisfied. When your
Disappointed
when your
too.
drivers are calling it Formula E, that's not where we want to be because this is Formula One. It's supposed to be the premier formula of racing.
Exactly.
And currently, with these new regulations, maybe they've gone a step too far. I don't want to be dramatic, but it all seems like just battery harvesting and then deployment, strategic deployment.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like true Formula One. So hopefully over the rest of the season, we see a change and maybe we look back and laugh and say we were being dramatic.
We will probably are, but yeah.
But that's going to do it for episode 3. Like and subscribe, please. It'll help us out.
Yeah, for sure. And if you became a fan this past weekend, thank you so much. I think we went completely crazy on social media. We were trying to get all this content to you guys literally in every platform, to the point that we're like counting every single subscriber that we got, any like new follower, any like, any feedback. And when we actually got feedback on those comments, I think really showed that all this hard work that we're putting in really, like, it gave us a little boost. So thank you so much. For sure, please follow, subscribe, like, or just write a comment, but just give us some feedback. And yeah, thank you again for watching.
And we'll see you in China. Spoiler alert, it is the year of the fire horse, so look out for Ferrari, baby.
Look out for Ferrari.